Welcome into a very special edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Football Pod. It's the Super Bowl prop bet extravaganza, showdown, battle royale, whatever we want to call it. We got Team RotoWire, myself, Nick Whalen, and my good pal John McKechnie. And unfortunately, the defending champions from Team Bookies, we got Dan Kilbridge and we got Adam Thompson. Boys, welcome back. Glad we got this on the books. So we got about 72 hours until kickoff out in Vegas, but John and I are ready. We're not laying down this year.
Well, the only thing harder than winning a title is defending a title. So, we had to bring our A game. We had to get ready, but I think we're well prepared now.
All right.
There's some
excellent
good bulletin board material on Twitter earlier this week as well. We've been taking notes.
Hey, we're not afraid to stir the pot. It's
been, very contentious, publicly, dragging each other on the internet streets. It's been a bloodbath out there. So it's good to finally, kind of throw down the gauntlet and really get this thing rolling.
I think we learned some lessons last year. We got a little too cute. We started pulling out some trick plays. We got away from our meat and potatoes. We got to run the ball. We got to execute. We got to be better, John.
Yeah, we're going to take what the defense has given us a little bit more this year. We're not going to Todd Monken this thing. We're going to go with what got us here to this point, and hopefully that's going to be enough to bring the trophy back where it belongs.
All right.
Well,
first
we
Todd
have
Monken hot shot hits at 5-1 inside of 2 minutes.
Right away. That hurts right away. No, we're Philly special in it. When you guys zig, we're going to zag. We have 3 or 4 props at plus 250, 500, 700, 750. So, we're pulling out all the stops to get this repeat.
All right. Excellent. We'd love to hear it. We'll do a brief overview of the rules. There are not very many, so that won't take very long, and then we will get into it. We each have a $1,000 budget. We can spend that $1,000 however you want. We didn't even set any minimums. You could go $1,000 on one bet if you really, really wanted to. Wouldn't make for that good of a show, but that is in the realm of possibility. However, I know that each of us have divided that up relatively evenly. We both have 10 bets that we'll be sharing. And the goal, of course, is to profit as much money from that $1,000 investment as possible. And all bets are on the table here. If you could find it, you could bet it. You just got to document it somewhere. It could be DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, Circa, BetMGM, wherever you find a bet, as long as you could source it, we will count it as part of the competition. So we'll go back and forth. We'll talk about our bets. We'll be able to rebuttal a little bit. Hopefully we'll go head to head on some of these. Team Bookies, as the defending champions, I think we'll let you guys lead off.
Excellent. Yep, we will. We'll take the ball first here, and we did. We sort of made our picks in order as well, kind of chronologically. So we're going to start things off actually several hours before kickoff. Our first wager, $75 at plus 600 odds. The number of Scottie Scheffler birdies made in round 4 at the Phoenix Open will be equal to the number of touchdowns scored in the Super Bowl. So we're thinking somewhere in the 4 to 5 birdies range. He had 5 birdies in the final round a year ago. He made 8 2 years ago, which would probably be bad. Made 4 birdies 4 years ago. And you could bet this over under, but we decided, the numbers were pretty aligned. I think the total touchdowns line is 5.5. So we're going to go for a big score right out of the gate and go with Scheffler birdies equal to number of total touchdowns scored. Should be a fun sweat as well. A lot of bang for your buck entertainment-wise.
All right. I think we like this, John, as a defensive team here. So you got to hit this exactly, right? Like you said, there's a possibility that Scottie Scheffler could go out and have 9 birdies on Sunday, and then we need exactly 9 touchdowns, no more, no less.
That's exactly right. But, however, the bet is void if Scheffler misses the cut, which is unlikely. But we do have that safety net as well.
Okay. All right.
What I like about that is
as well.
What I like is we get the competition started before the game even starts, right? Like, we're going to be paying attention to the waste management like all day Sunday as a result of this one. And I think, Nick, like you said, it kind of signals to us, These guys are looking around at golf. Our eyes are on the prize. We're looking at the big game only.
Yeah, we got to lock in. We have locked in. They got to lock in. If anything, maybe we can hedge this, John. Is there a way, like, could we bet against Scotty Scheffler in a way and maybe add something to the card here?
I don't know if I have the requisite sportsbook scanning skills to really figure that one out on the fly. But if there is and will be a way, then we can figure it out.
Scotty Scheffler is our Taylor Swift. We're gonna be following him everywhere he goes until kickoff, and then go have a seat. And now it's game time.
Okay, well, this has totally changed my Sunday viewing schedule. Now, I was thinking maybe I could get a round of golf in. It's going to be warm here this weekend. No, we're going to have to be locked in on the waste management. So to recap, $75 from the $1,000 budget from Team Bookies going to number of Scotty Scheffler birdies in the final round at the waste management on Sunday will be equal to the number of touchdowns scored by both teams in the Super Bowl. That is 6-1. All right, John, our first bet, we're going 150. Right off the bat. We're not messing around. $150. Christian McCaffrey, 2+ touchdowns scored. You can get that at plus 240 over at PointsBet. So betting 150 to profit 360.
I mean, I was pushing hard for this one. There are a couple different ways to go about it. I think McCaffrey's going to have, a huge game regardless. It was really enticing to over on FanDuel. There's one that says McCaffrey scores a rushing and a receiving touchdown that pays out plus 750. Nick kind of had to rein me in a little bit, so we're just going to keep it at the just piddly scoring 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl for McCaffrey. I think that's the bottom minimum expectations for CMAC, but I think that comes in.
I unfortunately like this one. I think the odds are really good for it as well. I mean, he led the league in touchdowns, as far as passing and receiving combined. So, their bread is buttered. The more CMC gets the ball, the better the Niners' chances. So you think he's going to get the ball. He's probably going to have 98% of their carries if he stays healthy throughout the game. He's going to get his touches.
I'm reminded of Kramer promising that little kid that Paul O'Neill was going to hit not 1 but 2 home runs for him when he was sick in the hospital. And it's hard to hit home runs. So 2 touchdowns. I mean, it looks good on paper. We'll see. What was the just 1 touchdown? What's that line?
That's like minus 200, minus 225.
Yeah, but it's as low as minus 240 at PointsBet, minus 235 at DK. Best you can get is 225 right now at BetMGM. So yeah, we couldn't take that. That's not enough value for a show like this. He's got 2 touchdowns in each of the 2 playoff games so far. Did it a few times during the regular season as well. So 150 on Christian McCaffrey to score 2+ touchdowns. These could be rushing, receiving. You can have a pick 6. You can throw a touchdown. Doesn't matter. You just got to find the end zone twice in this game. All right, guys, back to you. What is your second bet for Team Bookies?
All right, we're going to start with the opening kickoff, and we are not going to have a touchback this year. We're gonna snap the streak plus 250, $50, throwing it on no touchback to opening the kickoff. Harrison Butker, we need him to not kick off. This is almost a coin flip, defer type of bet, because if Harrison Butker kicks off, he leads the NFL in yards per kickoff, and 80% of his kickoffs ended in a touchback. But on the flip side, Jake Moody, 28th in kickoff distance, only 60% of his kickoffs ended in touchback. This is a Super Bowl. Lights are going to be flashing. That kick returner is going to want to take it out just so he can say he can take it out. And we have about a 50% chance, depending on who kicks off, that's going to hit. And at plus 250, I like a 50% chance at plus 250. So $50 on no kickoff, no touchback for the opening kickoff.
If I recall correctly, last year, I think we did bet there will be a touchback on the opening kickoff. And I think we were aggressive, like $200 or something.
Yeah, this is our biggest bet of the year last year. Yes, and it was at like minus 180, 150. It was low. This year it's minus 300. I think because Butker is a no-brainer, and I think they kind of wised up a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, I like this one, and I'm glad you're not putting a little bit more on it. I think you did the work there, and if it's Jake Moody kicking off and the Chiefs are getting the ball first, this is going to be one that we're sweating, John. But I kind of blacked out. I don't remember anything from last year. I've just placed that out of my mind. All I know is that Team RotoWire did not have the most glorious finish All right, John, what do you think about this one? Are we okay with this?
We're just gonna, it turns up the heat as far as the coin toss is concerned. Because we're gonna see whoever, there's likely gonna be a deferral here. So yeah, we're hoping that it is Harrison Butker kicking off, because otherwise, Jake Moody and his feather leg not gonna get it done. It'll be lucky to get to the 10-yard line.
Yeah, we're going to be sweating all day. You guys haven't even gotten into the actual game yet. We got golf bets, we got coin toss dependent bets. Anxious to see where it goes from here. All right, so we got Christian McCaffrey 2+ touchdowns. Our second bet, we're going $100 out of our $1,000 budget. Everybody loves Isaiah Pacheco, right? If you've been reading anything, listening to podcasts, watching ESPN, watching VSiN this week, everybody's coming on talking about Pacheco. We're taking the bait. We're going Isaiah Pacheco over 66.5 rushing yards. That number's been all over the place. I saw it as high as 70.5. I've seen it at 68.5, 69.5 earlier this week. It's down to 66.5. We're taking it at -110, betting 100 to profit $91. I think this is a running script for both teams, ideally. We'll see if it actually plays out like that. I think both teams would ideally like to win this game on the ground. Obviously, if Kansas City has to throw the ball, they'll be at the advantage having Patrick Mahomes. But John, you witnessed it, up close in person in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. 24 carries for Isaiah Pacheco. If he even gets to 17, 18 carries in this game, it's hard to imagine him not approaching 70 yards.
Agreed. And I think the strength of the San Francisco linebacking core, when you look at it, it's really how fast and able to cover multiple positions that guys like Fred Warner and Drake Greenlaw are, but they're not exactly hammers against the run. It hurts Kansas City that Joe Thuney's banged up and everything, but I think if Pacheco's getting to the second level, we're going to see him continue to push the pile, break some tackles, get some longer runs, especially as the game goes on. The defense gets a little bit tenderized. So, I would take Pacheco up to way more than 66.5. So just getting that at the standard -110, I'm all in.
Can't disagree there. Running angry has kind of become a buzzword or buzz phrase, I guess, past couple of weeks with Pacheco. But man, is it true?
Yeah, Kyle Brandt's going to sue us for you saying that.
The trademark infringement.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, I think we all like everybody's bets so far. So hopefully there's some more disagreement coming. Your third bet from Team Bookies.
All right, I do expect some heated debate on this one. Okay. I'm still not quite to the game action yet. We're looking at $50 at -110 odds. Reba McEntire, national anthem under 90.5 seconds. We all famously remember her 1974 anthem at the National Rodeo Competition. Went 80 seconds, right? And then game one of the 1994 World Series, I believe, 84 seconds famously as well. So our colleague Bill Spiros did the majority of the legwork on this one, but Reba's not, she's not there to make it all about her. She's there to do a job, sing a song, and get out, a true pro's pro, as they say. And this line has actually been bet up. I think it opened around 86 seconds, and now it's too high. So we're going under 90.5 seconds on the anthem at $50.
Okay, not scared away by that sharp syndicate money coming in on the over.
We took that into account. Obviously, that factors into our national anthem model. In this case, it was not enough for us to change our mind.
Okay, fair enough. John, we didn't really consider national anthem, but I also didn't do the research. I didn't go back and watch that 77 rodeo national anthem, so that's on me.
Well, you play to your strengths, right? And right. For us and for you especially, you're an Usher guy. So the halftime, I think, took up most of your oxygen when it came to considering the entertainment side of the betting ledger for this one. There was a lot of ludicrous discussion. I'm not just describing it like actually ludicrous, but, so we did shy away from Reba. But, I think, Dan, to your point, she is a pro's pro. I'm expecting her to not, take that and run with it. So that could end up being a sharp one that kind of helps stockpile you guys a little bit.
All right, John, back to us. We're putting $100 on Brock Purdy under 30.5 pass attempts. That's -110 at DraftKings. It's basically minus 110 everywhere. So that's betting 100 to profit $91. I wish we would have done this pod yesterday when the number was still 31.5. This has been a relatively popular one throughout the last couple of weeks, and for good reason. I think you look at these last 2 playoff games for the 49ers, and Brock Purdy went way over. I think he had 39 attempts against Green Bay, and then I believe he had 31 exactly last week against Detroit. Those were pass-heavy scripts, right? You're down, you're trailing against Green Bay, you're trailing by 17 at the half against Detroit. I am interested to see if San Francisco comes out flat again. It's hard for me to believe that they would, fall behind by multiple scores, for a third week in a row. I think that's relatively unlikely. If you take a look at Brock Purdy over the last couple of years, typically sits in the 26 to 28 attempt range. He's gone under this number in 13 of 18 games, including the playoffs this season, 20 of 27 games overall since taking over as the Niners starting quarterback. And again, like we said with our last bet, we view this as a run-heavy game. And I think San Francisco, if Brock Purdy has to drop back and throw the ball 35 times, that means something has gone wrong for the 49ers. So I don't think we see that situation unless this game plays out against the script that they're hoping for. And again, I don't think we get a third straight flat start by San Francisco where they have no choice but to throw the ball in the second half. Right.
So, I think you take all that into account. And I think also if this game is close going into the fourth quarter, Shanahan's a great coach for 3 quarters, his fourth quarter track record, a little bit less so. So here's hoping that the 49ers either have the lead or have this thing within 1 score as we get to the fourth quarter, because, the second that they start expecting Purdy to play like Patrick Mahomes or like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, where he's thrown it 40 plus times, then the Niners get themselves into trouble. So yeah, here's to leaning on McCaffrey again.
Yeah, that's been their track record to success. They need Purdy to throw about 25 to 30 a game, and McCaffrey to get about 15 to 20 carries a game or more. If that plays out, if that works how they want, they're going to win this game.
All right, back to you guys. Are we finally getting some game action on bet number 4 from Team Bookies?
All right, let's get into the game. Let's hike this ball. In fact, we're gonna start with our biggest bet of the entire thing. $180 on Travis Kelce over 70.5 receiving yards. Kelce has been Mahomes' man, all postseason. He has 12 straight games, playoff games of over 70 yards. This is an odd benchmark. We saw, he had 11 catches for 116 yards against the Ravens. The previous 2 postseason games, he averaged 6 catches for over 70 yards, 73 yards, I think. He went 6 of 81 last Super Bowl, 10 for 133 the previous Super Bowl. He's coming to play. His girlfriend's up in the stands. He wants to impress her. And the Niners, if they have a weakness, it's guarding tight ends. They're not terrible at it, but it's one of the worst things they are at it. They're pretty mediocre at it. So I think Travis Kelce, he's in for a big game, and this is going to be our biggest play. He should get a ton of targets, and he should make good on enough of them.
And we'll make our wives very happy with that wager as well.
Yeah. And that's an important part of this, right? Is keeping the women in our lives healthy, happy, making sure that they're involved. We did not, we considered, I should say, the Travis Kelce yardage over. We do have a Kelce bet coming later in the podcast, but I love this one a lot. I've been all over this one this week. Like you said, he's gone over this number in, every Chiefs playoff game since they parted way with Tyreek Hill. He's gone over in 16 of 21 career playoff games overall. We've been looking into some of the Travis Kelce touchdown markets. That might be a little hint at where we're leaning later in the podcast. He has a touchdown in 14 of 21 career playoff games. So I think there's been a ton of money coming in on Kelce props in general, but the number one thing, when it comes to Kelce yardage is, the people that'll push back on this will say, well, San Francisco, they're going to be keying on Travis Kelce. They know they have to stop him. Doesn't every team say that? And what happens 75+% of the time? They're unable to do that, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I took that into consideration because I actually like Rashee Rice. I don't think we didn't do this one, but Rashee Rice over 6.5 receptions is another prop that I kind of like just elsewhere. But like you said, every team says we need to stop Kelce, and eventually Mahomes, especially later in the season, they kind of realize when push comes to shove, it's elimination time, it's playoff time. Mahomes to Kelce is something that happens 6 to 8 times a game, or 11 times like their last game, and it's going to generate some yards too, and probably a touchdown.
We're crossing our fingers for that. We'll say that. John, back to us for our fourth bet. We have another $100 bet. I'll let you take this one. This one came from the brain of John McKechnie, and I love it.
Thank you. I'm one of those guys that's a sicko with the combine and everything. So I know generally, how fast these guys are in the 40. Been paying attention to the next gen stats stuff as well. FanDuel has a market for fastest ball carrier on offense, and that also applies to special teams as well. So that this could come back to bite us. But if I know one thing about Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he's really fast, and his average depth of target is 17 yards down the field. So when he does have the opportunity to catch the ball, he's up to full speed. If he can beat the defender off the line, get a little separation, he catches the ball that far down the field, he's probably going a pretty long way. So I like the idea of him being the fastest ball carrier, according to Next Gen Stats, in this Super Bowl. The odds on that one are plus 1120. So this one, if it comes in, it could be absolutely massive for Team RotoWire. So I figured we needed to take a swing for the fences a little bit, and I think that there's good rationale. It all really just kind of comes down to, oddly enough, trusting Marquez Valdes-Scantling's hands, which I'm not going to dwell on too much because that makes me feel worse about it. But if he does make that catch, he's gonna be absolutely scooting.
Yeah, I was about to say, if he can catch a ball, nobody's catching him. But yeah.
I think that's why it's over 11-1 is he actually has to complete the catch. It's not just who runs the fastest at any point in the game. He actually has to have the ball secured in his hands for that to take place. But I like this one, John. It's tough to find this kind of value on Super Bowl props unless it's something just completely ridiculous. And we basically just need one deep ball for MVS, and we feel like we're there. If you're curious, by the way, both Debo and Christian McCaffrey are the co-favorites to be the fastest ball carrier at plus 590. Pacheco plus 680. You got Ayuk, Rice, Justin Watson. Justin Watson has lower odds than MVS, John.
Justin Watson, for making Penn proud, but on the I think MVS has it. If I did take this wager on the San Francisco side, I would be interested in Brandon Ayuk at a plus, I think 730. It is because he had the fastest ball carrier miles per hour of anyone that advanced from the championship round. He got up to about 19 miles an hour with the ball in his hand against the Lions. So if you don't want to go as crazy as to trust MVS's hands, Ayuk is decent. That's just for the general audience out there.
I think that's pretty cool. It's very 21st century of you. Very, very progressive.
Very, very next gen.
Very next gen. Exactly. Like you said, I think the kickoff would be the only concern, as long as nobody breaks one and gets a seam and just. But Debo, I don't feel like Debo's that fast. Compared to some other kick returners out there. I feel like he's more of a power, elusive kind of guy. But yeah, I like that one.
All right, back to you guys. Your fifth bet.
All right, keeping with the same theme here, we are going to go, what do we got? $100 at plus 260 odds on Travis Kelce, receptions leader. And Adam kind of touched on this overall, but the Niners are sort of vulnerable against the tight end. You look at the NFC Championship game, leading receiver Sam Laporta with 9 catches. In a Week 7 loss to the Vikings, TJ Hawkinson was the leading receiver with 11 catches. A Week 15 win over the Cardinals, Trey McBride, leading receiver with 10 catches. We like Kelce to get free. And like you said, obviously, why don't they just key on him? He's a physical freak of nature, which is why he's so valuable and why that type of tight end Gronk role has evolved to this point. It's very difficult to cover in space. You have to be perfect schematically. And even then, he's so big and he can just go up and make a play, even if you do pretty much everything right. I don't like a Niners player to lead the game in receptions just because Purdy, like you said, I don't think he'll be throwing a ton and he spreads it around so much. Like McCaffrey could have 9 catches or something like that. But we feel pretty good about this and surprised the odds are plus 260. I thought they'd be a little worse than that. So we're going with $100 Travis Kelce receptions leader.
All right. I think we're on board with that. I'm seeing plus 155 at DraftKings, by the way. So we may need to run an audit on where these are from, but we'll accept it. We'll accept it.
Talk to our stats department there.
CMC, by the way, 7-1 for most receptions, which I do kind of like your line of thinking there. If you do want to go with a 49er, I think I would prefer him. You can get Ayuk at 450, Debo at 5-1, and George Kittle at 10-1. But good stuff there. All right, our fifth bet, $100. We'll keep this one quick. We've talked a lot about the running game in the Super Bowl. Both teams to score at least one rushing touchdown, plus 125 over at DraftKings today. This is another one where we were a little bit surprised at the odds. Obviously, you got two strong backs on both sides. We're obviously very high on Isaiah Pacheco. It's hard not to be high on Christian McCaffrey. We talked about what a heavy favorite he is to score in this game. Of course, the concern on the 49ers side is maybe McCaffrey is catching the ball and running into the end zone as opposed to running it in. But plus 125, we felt like this was a pretty good value, betting 100 to profit 125.
Yeah, can't argue with that. You have two bell cows out there who aren't going to share the ball a whole lot, especially in the Super Bowl. And anybody gets down there low. Neither team has any problem with running. In fact, they both prefer to run at this point. So yeah, that's plus odds for it.
All right, not much else to say about that one. We'll go back to team bookies.
And that Travis Kelce was receiving yards is what we had down.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Receptions, that's what it was.
All right.
Harrison Butker, over 1.5 field goals, minus 120, $175 on this one. We like Harrison Butker. Casey's been, they've developed kind of a habit of stalling in the red zone. They get off to hot starts and then they kind of rely on field goals a little too much. Niners ranked 7th in red zone touchdown percentage allowed. Mahomes, I feel like he'll get this team down the field a lot and then ultimately get the ball to Butker's big leg. So Harrison Butker, I think it's going to leave more points than him. He has that big leg. They're not afraid to use it. He has a long of 60, had a long of 62 last year. He's only missed 2 field goals all season, 33 of 35. So he's only getting 2 a game. He's only missed 2. Both of them were outdoors. Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals.
And some might say that we've tied too much of our bankroll into special teams with what was that now, like 250 or so on kicking related props, but you play all 3 phases and you bet all 3 phases. It's equally as important. And that right there could be the make or break of this whole competition we have going.
It's hard not to look at it that way. John, I'm feeling a little inadequate that we didn't throw any special teamers on there, but I like that. Like you said, KC, they've had a way of starting fast, putting some touchdowns on the board early, kind of sitting on the ball after that, and playing a little bit more conservatively. So Harrison Butker over 1.5 made field goals. Back to us, John. We got another $100 bet. I'll let you take this one. You got some good notes on what we expect to happen on the first drives of the game.
So, this is essentially a forecasting of how this game's going to start, right? And you can look at it from both sides. So there is a market for how both teams' first drives will unfold. There's obviously been a lot of hubbub, some hand-wringing, even you could say, about San Francisco's practice conditions this week. That makes me a little bit concerned as far as how hot they're able to start. So we're going to say that San Francisco, their first drive ends in a punt. That has been a pretty recurring theme. Last year being the exception. I think over the last 10 years was like the last time or the first time in that frame in which a team scored a touchdown in its first drive as the first possession in the game. Most of those first drives end in punts. Teams just kind of feeling each other out. So we're going to say that San Francisco punts. And then on the other side, Kansas City, and this unfortunately plays into y'all's hands a little bit. We're going to say that Kansas City kicks a field goal with their first drive. It's just a field goal attempt. It doesn't say a field goal make, but if those two things come into fruition here, we're looking at 9-1 over on DraftKings, and we are putting $100 behind that on San Francisco punting, Kansas City field goal attempt for their first drives.
This is unfortunately one of my 24 props for Super Bowl 2024 that you can find at bookies.com. Is that exact situation paired together? So pretty amazing. I completely agree. I think I think the Chiefs are going to march down the field. You could argue they're going to have more yards in this game, but I think they're going to stall more often in the red zone. And I think it plays into the Butker points, but I think was it 3 of the last 5 starts of games in the playoffs between these two teams have led to either a San Francisco punt or a Chiefs opponent punt. So I really like that too. I think the Niners punt, Chiefs go down and kick a field goal. Hopefully the other way around. When Moody kicks it to about the 5-yard line, they have to run it out. So we'll start with a field goal by the Chiefs, and then San Francisco punts.
Yeah, I'm trying to run all the machinations of how our bets also help your bets in this scenario. But 8 of the last 10 Super Bowls have begun with either a field goal or a punt. So that was part of the line of thinking. And again, San Francisco, they continue to get off to slow starts, like John mentioned, concerns over the practice field, maybe a little bit tight early on. We saw Brock Purdy struggle early, especially in that Green Bay game. And then again, against Detroit, might take a little bit of time for him to settle in, whereas you don't really worry about that with Patrick Mahomes at this point in his career. So that is our 6th bet on the board. First drive, San Francisco punts, Kansas City. They just have to attempt a field goal. They don't have to make it. 9-1. So betting 100 to profit 900. Back to team bookies.
All right. This is an annual highlight of mine. I always love this bet. We're going $100. The first touchdown scorer's jersey number will be under 22.5. And those are minus 105 odds. So obviously, 22.5 is the number. So you don't get Kelce, you don't get McCaffrey, you don't get Kittle. But we're interested in who you do get, which is pretty much the entire, second tier of first touchdown options with Pacheco, Deebo Samuel, Rashee Rice, Ayuk, Mahomes, Purdy. So there's just a lot of guys in the lower numbers here who have a good chance to score. The price is right, and I like betting first touchdown that way as opposed to just picking one guy. Keeps you invested in every play. And the price is right at minus 105. So we're going $100 under 22.5 jersey number first touchdown score.
Well, there's one colossal liability that immediately jumps to my mind as you read off that number. Sky Moore got activated.
Oh no!
So thanks.
Yeah, that's a free one for us. Kadarius Toney also falls into that range. We need to keep that in mind as we're naming off potential players. No, this one was on my list of potential considerations. It's a really fun bet, right? Because, like you said, instead of targeting one player, you get a whole swath of players. They always set the line at the perfect spot. So I guess the way you guys are thinking, you're hoping for Kansas City to get the ball first, and then that gives you Pacheco, Mahomes, Rashee Rice, basically anybody but Kelce or Justin Watson, right?
Exactly. And we're actually sort of invested in that even further a little bit with one of our upcoming wagers. So that's really going to be a key, kind of like in Uncut Gems when Adam Sandler's got everything going on the opening tip-off is the first leg of this parlay. Kind of that. Like if the opening kickoff doesn't go well, Adam and I are going to be behind the chains from the get-go.
This is how I win.
I didn't know Sky Moore was activated, though. That's great. Shout out Western Michigan.
That's right. It's just like one of those random, I get the Rappaport tweet notifications. I saw that he got activated and didn't think anything of it until literally you brought up this bet, and I thought, hey, funny joke opportunity.
All right, so we just said, it's really fun to not bet one single player for first touchdown. We are going to throw that out the window, and we're going to put $50 on Travis Kelce first touchdown at 7-1 at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So we'll see how it goes. We approach this one with caution. There's a reason it's only a $50 bet for us. But I think Travis Kelce finds the end zone at some point in this game. You guys have rattled off plenty of stats about why Travis Kelce continues to be extremely effective, especially in the postseason, especially in these huge games. So we felt like there was just not quite enough value on the anytime touchdown. We talked about maybe last touchdown, but settled on Travis Kelce first touchdown at 7-1. Anything you want to add there, John?
I just think that with what we're expecting from the Chiefs, where they go with the ball, especially in the postseason, like Kelce is just going to be such a huge factor, catching all 11 of his targets in the AFC Championship game, including the first touchdown in that one. It's just hard to imagine like the Chiefs kind of going away from what has gotten them to this point, especially early in the game. And he there's such a variety of ways that he can score in terms of like the range. But, I think that Chiefs get down into the red zone. They just loft it up to him, and he's going to come down with it. Kind of to what Dan and Adam have been saying, it's going to be tough all night for the 49ers to keep him in check. But I think especially leading things off, I think Andy Reid is going to want to script this up to get Kelce the ball and involved early on.
This whole competition might be settled with about 6.5 minutes left in the first quarter. The way we're both attacking the start of the game with gusto.
Yeah, we're a little over leveraged in the start of this game, and you might say this kind of flies in the face of our previous bet. First drive, Kansas City field goal. Hey, not necessarily. We don't think San Francisco scored on their first drive either, so we're hoping we can double up here, where San Francisco punts, Kansas City gets that field goal attempt, and with their next possession, Travis Kelce punches it in. But there's also a way we can kind of play both sides here, where if that first Kansas City drive does end in a Kelce touchdown, then we won't make as much money, but we'll take it anyway. All right, guys, 3 bets left for Team Bookies. Where are you going next?
All right, we're getting a little crazy now, and we're spoilering alert who we're picking for the finale, but we are predicting a Chiefs onside kick attempt in this game, plus 750, putting 50 on it. It's a low total, but plus 750. Nobody's attempting an onside kick in the middle of the game. We're not getting a Saints shocker or anything like that, I don't think. But I do like the Niners in this game, and I think they could, if they play a full 4 quarters, I really like where they're going to be sitting in the fourth quarter. And if they're sitting well in the fourth quarter, like up by 8, 9, 10, and the Chiefs need 2 scores to get back in it, they're not going to stop with Patrick Mahomes. So, let's make it a 10-point game with about a minute and a half left. Maybe even a 9-point game. Kick a field goal, onside kick, plus 750. Give it to me.
Another special teams wager.
Another special teams wager.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, we like it. We like it. You got to. The importance, I think, with scripting these is you have to kind of come up with, all right, here's how I think this game is going to play out, and I think if you're getting plus 750 on that, I don't hate it. Any thoughts, John?
Well, I think what makes this one particularly effective is it's better than just will there be an onside kick. You're specifically picking a team, and therefore your odds and profit potential grow by a decent bit. So, like you said, you craft the narrative. You expect the 49ers to be in the lead late in this game. Therefore, Chiefs would be the ones with the onside kick opportunity. So, I think that one's making me feel queasy on our side of the table.
It's definitely kind of a doubling down or even tripling down on picking the Niners to win this game. You're almost picking them, you're almost, instead of taking a -2 or money line, you're almost taking them like -6 type of bet, right. Plus 750. You need a certain scenario to play out, and that's not usually how we roll. But we got a lot of money to play with here. So we're going with it.
Well, I mean, we should clarify. I mean, this is coming out of our pockets. This is real money. This is high stakes. I don't know if there's any sort of prize on the line here. We could find something, but I like that. If you have a side, you got to stick to it. You can't be waffling. So we are going with Harrison Butker to attempt an onside kick for Team Bookies. All right, we got 2 bets that are tied together here. So we're going to give our 8th and 9th bets out of 10, and then we'll go back to you and we'll finish out. John, you have the floor. Let's talk some Gatorade.
Let's talk some Gatorade. So again, we have a lot of action going in like the first quarter potentially, or in the very early stages of this game. But, this obviously comes at the tail end. I've been in the lab researching the Gatorade prop bet, looking at the odds movement over the course of these last couple of weeks. The first one for $50, we're going to put down on red/pink at plus 550. That's over at FanDuel. And the reasoning here is that red and pink, a lot of the times color palette doesn't really matter for the Super Bowl as far as the Gatorade is concerned. I mean, there was purple last year when the Chiefs won, but it's interesting to me that both teams are red, and also Red hasn't cashed since Y2K. So it's been a while. And I think in a year where it's an all red Super Bowl, why not? And especially at those odds. And it actually opened as the favorite and now has shifted down. I believe orange is the favorite now. But I think red stands a really good chance to kind of break its drought. Fruit Punch needs a bit more pub. And I think the Super Bowl in Vegas, the great opportunity for Fruit Punch to officially be back. And then tacking on $50 on yellow/green. You can get that at just under 4-1 over at FanDuel as well. So we're putting $50 on that. Yellow-green has been a more common Gatorade color over the last few years. The Eagles used it when they beat the Patriots a few years back. Has not cashed since then. It's been all blue and orange since then, other than purple last year. So I think that we're gonna get a little bit more variety. We're gonna break out of these blues, as it were, and it's gonna be citrusy in the yellow-orange variety. So that we're covering ourselves a little bit here, and we're getting some good odds while we're at it.
Surprising that red hasn't hit that often,
Right?
It feels like that's one of the more. I mean, I guess the lemon lime's probably got to be the most popular Gatorade flavor, right? Still, the OG of Gatorade flavors, but red, I got a lot of red in my house.
Fantastic. I love red.
Yeah, I think I would go red over yellow-green. I mean, I'm not picky when it comes to Gatorade. Somebody was telling me on the radio the other day that they prefer the cucumber flavor as number one. I mean, look, I'm not here to Gatorade shame anybody. That can't be your number one. It absolutely can't be number one.
It's sneaky good. Like it's one of those ones that sounds like it can't possibly be good, but then it actually is. But I personally am more of like the Riptide Rush type variety. But my pre-mustache days, thirsty after playing some basketball or something, you get some red Gatorade, you get your red Gatorade mustache. Those were the days.
Yep.
And maybe staining. Maybe the Raiders said no red Gatorade here. Maybe other stadiums have said, we don't want you getting your red stainy stuff on our grass or turf.
I'm foiled by Mark Davis once again.
Yeah, there we go. No Gatorade bath, by the way, 16-1 right now at DraftKings. I would have to do the research. Has there ever not been a Gatorade bath? I can't imagine that's value.
That was my follow-up question too. I don't recall.
Yes, and it won't surprise you. Old curmudgeon Bill. The last time that they won, when they beat the Rams in what was the driest Super Bowl, that came in as none.
Did he avoid it? Like, did he get away from it, or was it just not attempted?
There just simply was not a Gatorade bath.
What happened? What happens if they try one and they miss?
Right.
Is that
we got to get into the finer details, but I got to think if liquid is poured in the direction of the coach, then there's action.
Well, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on semantics here, but on DraftKings it says, quote, color of first Gatorade poured on winning head coach. So I would imagine some contact has to be made between the winning head coach's body and that Gatorade.
So if they miss, that's a no Gatorade?
Right. Well, you might have to go to replay at that point and see, did anything splash on him? All it takes is one drop. These molecules are very small. We have to keep that in mind. But, it can't be on the defensive coordinator. It can't be on the offensive coordinator. It specifically has to be the head coach. So it has to be It has to be Shanahan or Reed. So let's keep that in mind. That was all built into our risk profile with our Gatorade model. But John did the legwork on that one. So we're hedging a little bit here. We're taking red at plus 550. We're taking yellow-green at plus 390. So we now have one bet left. You guys have two. Back to Team Bookies.
All right. I don't love Andy Reid's odds to escape his team of NFL players in a foot race at the end of the game, but I digress. We've got a sort of a two-way bet here. We've got $100 on a halftime, full-time result. So we're going to go Chiefs halftime, Niners full-time. So Chiefs leading at halftime, San Fran wins the game. $100 at plus 700 odds. And I think, this has been, juicy, we thought. And just the way that the game, we believe it will play out, the way these teams have performed all year. The Chiefs are dead last in fourth quarter scoring. The Niners, obviously, I think if their Niners are almost a full touchdown more on average than the Chiefs in the second half this season. So they've been scoring a lot more in the second half. And then this also ties into our original touchback bet, which is that we hope the Niners are kicking off to begin the game and receiving to start the second half. So yeah, it's just the way we thought we'd kind of squeeze a little more value out of our sheet here.
Not
it's
saying
all
we
going to
got
come
a
down to
copy
that
of the
opening
script.
kickoff.
Yeah. Not saying we got a copy of the NFL script for the Super Bowl, but I'm not saying we didn't get a copy.
Jeez. All right. Man, I'm just going to be sweating that coin toss, that opening kick. I love the correlation that you guys have weaved throughout all of these bets. Not a whole lot of pushback there. I mean, we will reveal momentarily what side of this game we are on, but that would fall in line with specifically what we've seen from San Francisco these last 2 weeks, starting slow, finding ways to creep back in. I guess my question would be, do you trust Kansas City to make the same mistakes that both Green Bay and Detroit made to allow San Francisco back into those games?
It's a risk for sure. A lot of it is, what's San Francisco going to do? Brock Purdy in the first half of the postseason, so far his QBR is like in the 50s, and in the second half, it's in the 90s. So, if he shapes up, we might be in trouble, but for this one, but it will help us out in a lot of other ways, and that would be fine too.
All right. We like it, John. On to our final bets. I'll let you take this one as well. We are putting $200 on.
We are putting $200 on the Kansas City Chiefs at +2, flat 2. That's -115 odds. We think that this is going to be a close one. I think, that there's been, I think rightly so, this is very similar to last year's Super Bowl in the sense where it's like you have one side that coming out of the NFC that you could argue is the best team in football. And then on the other side, you have Patrick Mahomes. And learned our lesson last year. I believe we were really leveraged on the Eagles. We're just going to back Mahomes in this spot. Mahomes against the spread has just been an absolute demon, especially in the postseason. We're just, by virtue of this bet, we're kind of counting on the 49ers to just come up just a little bit short. I don't think if we get this right that it's going to be extremely right, and the Chiefs are absolutely running away with this game or anything like that. But when you're talking about getting Patrick Mahomes and getting 2 points on top of it, it's a margin, or it's a narrow margin for error here. But I think we're going to weave it through just right. So give me the Chiefs +2 to round it out for us.
Yeah, we wanted to go big on the game result. And John, in the interest of full disclosure, he's more on the San Francisco side. I'm more on the Kansas City side. So we decided to somewhat split the difference and take the points.
He's a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah, you know how it goes. As you guys know, we like Kansas City to score first. The Chiefs are 54-7 straight up in the Mahomes era when they score first. And I know we're playing around with the points here a little bit, but I like the Chiefs to win this game outright regardless. I am concerned about the slow start for the Niners. Yes, they deserve credit for finding ways to crawl back into these games. Yes, Brock Purdy and that offense have been much better in second halves. But at the same time, I think you're facing a pretty big step up in competition, in experience in the Kansas City Chiefs. And I still have a lot of the same questions that I had about Kansas City in the regular season. I still think it's a two-man passing game with Kelce and Rashee Rice. And that is a pretty big issue when you're facing a Niners team that has like 7 options in their passing game. But I think Kansas City is the team that's playing better right now. I think San Francisco has the better resume over the course of the season. I think Kansas City has played better in the postseason. And for what it's worth, guys, I'm sure you've seen that stat floating around. The team with the better record in the Super Bowl is 1-15 ATS in the last 16 Super Bowls.
That's wild. Yeah, that's surprising. I went Eagles last year too. I did not learn from that mistake. And hopefully John will be kicking you at the end of this game, because we took the Niners money line, $120 at -120, 125 it might be now. It's moved, but defense first, doesn't win. Both these teams are second and third in total defense, but the last 7 Super Bowl champions have also finished top 6 in the league in scoring. And the Chiefs are 15th and the Niners are number 2, including number 1 in the NFL away from home. I think the defense are going to play well, but you give Shanahan more than a week to prepare for an opponent. The Niners, who have struggled against the spread lately, especially, are 4-1 against the spread when he gets at least 8 days to plan. I don't think the moment will be too big for Brock Purdy. I think he's just kind of cool as a cucumber. As long as he doesn't get off to such a poor start that it hampers what they're trying to do. But I think pound for pound, the Niners are the better team. I'm curious to see how the Chiefs O-line holds up. You have Bosa come out saying, these guys hold a lot. Is that going to play? Is there going to be some kind of subconscious factor based on that? And obviously they're missing their all-pro guard as well. So I think the Niners, I think it's going to be a great game. We didn't want to go all in on any official game pick because, one side you could say pound for pound is the better team. The other side has Patrick Mahomes, so it doesn't matter. And that has been the case in previous years. So we went money line on the Niners minus 120 for a final pick.
And I was I was tempted to take Kansas City here. There's some initial disagreement. We handled it in-house, and Adam and I's relationship is great. 100% on the same page with everything now. And I do think Kansas City, impressive as it is to persevere and make the big plays late, really wasn't that impressed with what they did against Baltimore. I was more disappointed in how the Ravens beat themselves. Buffalo, kind of same thing, just a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. And the Chiefs, that's the thing about the Chiefs. They don't really beat themselves very often. You have to go out there and you have to beat them. I think this Niners team has the goods to do it, but they got to get off to a better start.
So none of us involved the total at all. 47.5. John, did you have any strong thoughts there?
I'm not great with totals to begin with. And when Vegas sticks the number out there, it's like, oh, great. Well, now I'm just instantly gravitating towards a final score that's right on it. But in my heart of hearts, I have this as the Niners 27, Chiefs 20. But in the interest again for our bet sheet, getting the Chiefs with the spread with all the trends and all the things that we considered to get us there, I still definitely can see that coming in as well. But I think either way, the defenses kind of are the story here. I think it's less of the crazy shootout like last year where we got 70 or more than 70 points, I believe, were scored in that one. I think that this one ends up coming in under.
Yeah, I think we talked about it too, and we hemmed and hawed and went back and forth, and ultimately, with so many options out there, we just didn't take either side of it. I think we both love the defenses and what they bring, and there's been a lot of this has been the year of the under. If you played the under all year, you're rolling in it. It's been the lowest scoring season in a long time in the NFL. But it's always more fun to take props overs. So you take a lot of overs and you want those overs to hit. Well, you can't take the under also because you're going to contradict everything that you're doing. So yeah, we just stayed away from that one too.
Was there anything that was left on the cutting room floor for you guys? Any bets that one of you wanted to shoehorn in there, but you couldn't quite get there?
I saw a plus 3,300 prop that the Chiefs would win, and then Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift would announce that she was pregnant. Which, what a story that would be, right? That would be huge. And the odds are decent, but we decided that was not going to be in the bankroll this year, unfortunately.
Could you find that same scenario in a Chiefs loss? Like, could you get that at like 70 to 1?
That's a good question.
They're not getting engaged.
He retires a loser.
One weird one we looked at was longest field goal was higher than total points.
Oh.
So if somebody kicks like a 52-yard field goal, you're taking that over the total points. We did not go with that one. That one was left on the cutting floor, I think, but we both liked that one up until the end.
Yeah, actually, I like that too. I mean, especially if you think Butker's kicking at least 2, you have to figure that, at least one of those is not a chip shot. We were looking at a few as well, mostly in agreement. You know, one of them that struck me was largest lead at any point in the game for either team, 13.5. I kind of like the under at plus 114. You know, obviously back-to-back touchdowns by one team to start the game would sink that immediately, but I don't really see either side running away. And I'm with John. I would take the under. Obviously, we didn't feel that strongly about it, but you know, I see this as, you know, 24-21, that type of game where, you know, neither team is up big at any point. But obviously, you guys might feel differently if you think we're in an onside kick scenario at the end.
Well, 13's a lot. I would have taken the under on that too. I just feel like, yeah. I mean, it like you said, 2 touchdowns. That's very possible. But that has to be to start the game. I think both teams are going to score at some point. But we just need, you know, just a field goal to mess that up somewhere in the middle. I think both teams are going to be able to move the ball well. You know, how many times they get in the end zone is another story. But yeah, I would have taken the under on that too. At plus odds, that's not bad.
Yeah. All right, fellas. I think that'll do it. We have the bets in. Team RotoWire's feeling good. Team Bookies feeling confident. We will make sure to get those out on social. We'll put a recap out there so you can follow along on Sunday. Appreciate everybody who watched along live. We'll be posting this as a podcast as well. You can find that on the RotoWire Fantasy Football podcast feed, wherever you get your pods, Apple, Spotify, wherever. You can check it out archived on the RotoWire YouTube channel as well. John, my teammate, thank you for jumping in. Looking forward to sweating this with you on Sunday. Adam, Dan, good to have you guys here. Don't want to say too many nice things. Worst of luck to you, but looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
You were a host, and this was a video, and it was fun.
Yep, both teams. You know, we can have both teams play hard. You know, our medal will be bigger at the end than yours, but everybody gets a medal at the end if we all win, right?
Absolutely not. Not in this scenario.